Hey there, how are you? So, I could talk about classic horror movies, but I feel like we all know these by now. I've talked about them before, there's many other sites I've talked about them. Instead, this year I wanted to do a few movies that were not quite so famous. Of course, I'm going to put some famous ones in as well, but I wanted to pick up some more of like the lower budget ones, kind of like a group of friends got together and decided to make a movie once. A, because I don't feel they're talked about enough. B, there's some really good hidden gems in that one. C, I feel like it's a good inspiration. So if anybody out there wants to go make a movie, but don't have the budget or all that kind of stuff, there's ways to do it. And I think these old 80s horror movies actually really led the way of showing people what they can do with minimal equipment, that you can still make a decent movie without having to have a big budget. With that in mind, let's carry on. Today I'm going to talk about this little hidden movie called Asylum. Have you heard of it? Probably not. So, I just go over the general plot of the movie. At the start, this loving couple driving along with this weird rendition of House of the Rising Sun. I don't like that cover, but I like the song. And they get in this car crash. I mean, understandably so. I mean, they're fully making out in the car when he's driving like at 70 miles per hour. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. However, they get in this big car crash and they die. Or do they? Ha 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 ha. The wife or girlfriend dies in it. However, the boyfriend or husband, it's never fully understood if they're married or not, is thought to be dead. But then he comes back, and this is the first death scene, really, apart from the crash, really, which... Watch the unedited one, by the way, because the edited one, they do take a lot out, especially the blood and gore parts. But the first death really is when they're doing an autopsy on the guy, and he suddenly wakes up and kills both the doctors. It's kind of interesting. However, following that, we start to fall into kind of like a Friday the 13th kind of clone thing going on. What really happens is, apparently the daughter of the man, I think it explains later that she was actually the stepdaughter and that they never got along. So it can't be the daughter of the woman because obviously she died in the car crash. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is 10 years later, and these kids decided to go spend the night at this old abandoned insane asylum. Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, that's how all things should start. I know, let's go to the insane asylum. Let's go there. That's got a good place to go, huh? Let's go sleep there. Yeah, great. As you might suspect, the insane asylum is where the monster, the not fully dead or crazy man is staying. And they get there and they find out that there's these groups of like punk rockers are already staying there, and they've kind of called it their own. So these kind of like, I guess you call like jockish or, preppy couples have to stay outside while these punks are staying inside. And there's kind of this feuds going on, like they shout names to each other, they fill condoms with water and throw them at the preppies, things like that. It's kind of funny, actually, the little back and forth they have between each other. And then we get into the classic horror style where one by one they slowly go missing. And then there's the final showdown with the monster or the killer in the movie. So, it's nothing new, nothing special, but it is a real budgeted movie. There's not a lot of money thrown in here, but they did a pretty good job. And actually, it's one of the first times in these early movies, because this was, 1986, where they actually make fun of horror movies themselves. In fact, I think Scream might have taken from this. Because the classic Scream scene, Scream 1, where he's explaining the rules and says, you never go out alone, never ever say, I'll be back. Well, they do the same thing in this movie. It says, wait, I've seen enough horror movies, you should never go out alone and never say, I'll be back. It is pretty much the same. So I wonder if Wes Craven saw this movie and kind of took it from it, and that made it more popular. But it's one of the first instances I can think of where a horror movie is also making fun of horror movies, which is really kind of cool. It's worth watching it just for that. Now, is this movie great? No, it's not great by any means, okay? It has some really cheesy, really bad parts to it. But there's also some really cool parts in it as well. The effects aren't that bad. They're kind of a bit cheesy, but again, it's a lower budget, and I think they did really well with what they had. Some of the deaths are kind of imaginative as well. The thing about this movie that ruins it is probably the acting. I think this is a case where actually the script was okay, because some of the dialogue is not badly written. I think this is the case where I have to blame the actors, unfortunately. Unlike other movies where you can say, well, the script is bad and the actors had to work with what they had. In this case, I think the actors were given a not, it's not Toy Story, but it's not a bad script. It's the acting. The acting is horrendous, but because the acting is horrendous, it also makes the film kind of lovable and kind of want to watch it. There's some really, really bad but funny lines in it. The acting's really bad, and some of the lines are just really weird and just makes you wonder what was going on in some of the cases. So there's this couple together, and they're about the same age, and I believe they're a couple. And the girl says, "Oh, can I call you mother?" to the man. The man says, "Sure, baby, you can call me mother." So that's kind of weird just right off the bat. And then later he's like, "Hey, so do you want to go, have some fun?" It's like, "That's disgusting. You're my mother." And I think by the end of the movie, she really believes that the guy is her mother. Kind of weird, huh? Actually, unfortunately, one of my favorite characters in it is one of the first to die, and that's Darnell. And he's got so many lines in it. He's bad in it, but he's so bad it's really, really good. And I actually wanted to hear more from him because he's probably the most entertaining character. He's got lines such as like, "Honey, Darnell's about to come and show you the meaning of God." And then, for no reason, there's another line that he says, is like, "We're the Crest generation." Like, Crest toothpaste? Is that what you're saying? You're the Crest toothpaste generation? You have the, Gen X, Gen Z, blah, 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 baby boomers. And then, apparently, I didn't know about this one, the Crest generation. The Crest generation. Anyway, it's all about Darnell. Unfortunately, he dies way too early because I love hearing his lines and the way he presents them. It's so over the top. It's not like you say, like I did, it's like, I'm the Crest generation. It's like, so over there, like, "Baby, I'm the Crest generation." It's just so over the top, but it's great. It's worth watching it just for him, honestly. Now, some of the scenes as well. So there's this epic fight going on between the preppy boy, the jock, and the lead punk girl, and they're just beating the shit out of each other. They've got pipes trying to throw each other off the edge of the building because on the top floor, I mean, literally, they're trying to kill each other. And during all this time, one of the other punk girls who likes that girl, who likes the boy I just told you about before, Daryl, she's sat there daydreaming. It's like, "Daryl, are you gonna come and help me?" It's like, I wonder if he practices safe sex. And she's just reclining in the sun when this epic battle of life and death is going between this jock and her friend, and she's just there idly daydreaming around. It's just such a bizarre scene, but again, it just kind of works in a weird kind of way. Alright, so let's talk about the monster. The monster himself is kind of like if you got Jason and Freddy Krueger together. He's meant to be intimidating and stalks down the hallways. Kind of like how, Jason Voorhees walks, or even Michael Myers walks. But he speaks in this movie, and his lines remind me more of like a Nightmare on Elm Street, like Freddy Krueger's kind of cheesy one-liners, apart from where Robert Englund delivered them very well, and the lines were kind of, cool and funny to hear. Like, it's actually well done. They're not here at all. I mean, half the jokes don't even make any sense. And then later on, you find out he was a lawyer, but this is after all the lawyer jokes he makes. He's like, "And I'm gonna take you and make sure you don't spend a night in jail. You're gonna spend a night in death." It's like, what does that have to do with anything? And then later, it's like, oh, okay, he was meant to be a lawyer. It might be better to explain that he's a lawyer first, so then we at least get the idea of some of these jokes. But it's just really, really bad. But again, it's one of those, it's so bad it's good. one of the punk girls found one of her friends dead already, Kiki. And she then carries on later on when one of her other friends is missing and starts shouting her name. Fair enough, okay. You found your friend dead, Kiki's dead, and now you're worried about your friend. You want to know where she is. But why would you then go around and start saying the other girl's name and Kiki's name? It's like, Kiki, where are you? Where are you? You just saw that she's dead. You think she's just been reanimated and you need to go find her? She's walking around someplace. It's like, what were they thinking? And that's the thing about this movie. I think at the start time making this movie, the original intention was to try and make a horror movie, a scary movie. And you get that feel at the start of the movie. Like, hey, what we're in for, this could be pretty scary. Great shooting location, actually. I love the whole asylum idea. It's really just a great place to shoot. And, you get these ideas of like, okay, this could be good horror later on. And I think it's like halfway through they decided, you know what? This isn't quite working. We're just going to make this a comedy. And I think that's what they did. They decided to turn it into a comedy. Like, it went from being a horror to kind of like a horror with some comedy to like a horror comedy to almost just a flat out comedy. There's this one scene where this girl gets put into this like packaging plant, this packaging area that makes the boxes, clamps down, and she turns into a box of gore and blood. That's kind of funny, but I have a question. Why is one of those in an insane asylum? Like, it's not like it's in just any part of this insane asylum. This is a place where they're doing the operations, because it has, the scalpels, it has the trays and everything for it. So why the hell is it a boxing machine, a full industrial size boxing machine in the operation room? I just don't understand it. So I really think they just said, screw it, we're going to make this a comedy now. This is one small part. You can tell that they obviously put up some of their own pictures, because where they filmed was obviously a real location and it'd been run down for a while. But they put up their own signs just for the sake of the movie. But this one sign especially grabbed me, is saying, "This way to the exit," or "the exit this way," in clear letters. Oh, sorry, to an exit. Like, to an exit? Like, there's only one exit? Or why not say the exit on the north stairwell? It's just to an exit. And it's so clearly just been printed out and put on there. It totally contrasts to the rest of the environment. I mean, you could have like threw it in the dirt a little bit, roughed it up a little bit, but no, I mean, this thing looked like it just got printed. And throughout this whole movie, there's another movie going on. There's little scenes of another movie. I want to say it's the crime of the Stephen Hawke and the Red Baron movies, all black and white horror movies. And, they're putting it like in between the different scenes. And I've seen movies do this before and they can work really well. However, this has no connection with this movie whatsoever. And, when you see these other movies inside a movie, normally someone's watching on TV, there's just no link between why you're showing these clips between the movie. There's absolutely no link. Like, is there somebody watching it? Is somebody watching this movie in a movie on a movie? I have no idea what's going on. The bottom line is this movie good? It's fun. Again, I have to give them credit. A cheap budget, they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and they went out and made one, so congratulations. I'm happy to see people do that, and that's awesome. This movie's funny, okay? If you went in for a good laugh and you want to be like, what the hell's going on, go watch this movie. If you're not in the mood for cheesy and bad things, then don't watch this movie. Alright, so this movie is bad, but it's bad in a good way. And like I was just saying, I have to give credit. They went out and they made a movie. That's what they did. And that's pretty awesome that someone actually went out and did that. The script isn't bad. I mean, I feel like the script was written and it has its elements. The thing here, though, is the bad acting. I think in many ways destroys some of this movie, but it also makes what this movie really is. It has its own charm. If you're in the mood to see kind of like a rip-off of like classic horror movies, and you want some comedy thrown in, some blood and some gore, and some things that are going to make you chuckle, like you just want to spend, I don't know, a night with your friends, you got some popcorn out and stuff like that, and you want a good laugh, but you also want to see the hints of a good movie and the idea of how you can start to make your own movie on a budget, yeah, watch this then. If you're someone who wants to see a serious horror movie, this is probably not for you. But I enjoyed it. It is a hidden gem from the 80s that I think a lot of people forgot. Doom Asylum, even though it has nothing to do with the game Doom, and actually in some ways it's better than that Rock's version of the Doom movie, but not as good as the Russian one, it's definitely worth it. It's just a fun, goofy movie in many ways. You've got Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street meets, I don't know, meatballs kind of thing going on. Anyway, I better go. I think I hear the person coming. Oh no, it's the monster. It's the monster. So what monster? You want to go with me? You don't mess with me. You know why? Because I'm part of the Crest generation, bitch.
Help us fight those creeps.
Have checkups.
Watch street.
And brush after meals with
C.
R.